I'm your host, Mary O'Connell, bringing you the latest tech updates, warehouse news, and everything happening in the cold chain world. Not only is there the coolest show in freight, but there's also Running on Ice, the newsletter that could not be colder. You can subscribe to that on freightwaves.com/runningonIce. Today, we welcome Nick Heikkinen, Overhaul's VP of IoT Technology. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm kind of excited about today because we get to, one of my favorite things is kind of diving into the why behind some stuff. But before we get too far into that, let's get some background on you and kind of how you got started at Overhaul.
Yeah, sure. I'm the VP of IoT Tech at Overhaul. Got about 15 years experience in the IoT space. Previously worked with companies that design IoT devices and the applications they report through. In December 2018, I joined Overhaul, and I'm currently responsible for overseeing the development, implementation, and management of our technology strategies and initiatives. I manage a team of engineers and technology professionals who are responsible for designing, building, and maintaining our IoT systems and solutions, as well as making sure that those systems are secure, scalable, and reliable.
I absolutely, that's like a nice, very concise way of making sure that everybody gets their jobs done.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely challenging.
So one of the things that you guys have announced earlier this year, or maybe it was a month ago, you guys have this new cold chain solution that specifically is geared towards pharma and high value food and beverage, which as those who listened to last week's episode knows that that's kind of become a issue of cargo theft, which we're not talking about today, but it's something that, any solution that people have seems to kind of be more than welcome in this environment, since everybody's looking for a way to kind of mitigate that. But you guys have this new solution. What was that motivation to say, hey, these are the industries that we want to spend time in, we want to commit these resources to, and kind of what made you guys develop this particular solution?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely had some solutions previously that overlapped into the space, and we noticed increasing demands for cold chain logistics customers and the solutions that they needed. And like you mentioned, this is in pharmaceutical, healthcare, and then also in high value food and beverage sectors. And really, the purpose of the solution is to safeguard temperature sensitive products. That's really the key in what we're trying to achieve. And when we do that, that ensures patient safety, on-time delivery, and chain of custody for regulated products and throughout healthcare supply chains.
I mean, as a patient of the healthcare, we love it when things get there in one piece and get there in a way that's supposed to be where someone doesn't get sick, even sicker by using a product, which is fantastic. But one of the questions that I have is, what technically, and this just might be me not being familiar with food and beverage, what's classified as a high value food and beverage? Is it like just really expensive wine, or is there, like, apparently figs are really expensive to ship? Is it something like that? Or is, like, what exactly is it?
Yeah, various things. Kind of in general, and I know we're not talking about security, but that industry is the most targeted kind of year over year outside of Q4. And I think that comes down to, people want to eat and food is getting more expensive. So we see things such as produce like avocados being targeted, pistachios and nuts are really high value. If you're talking about putting them in the back of a shipping container or trailer. And then obviously meats and, as you mentioned, alcohol as well.
I did not think, for some reason, like, nuts is sticking out as something that's weird in that group, because everything else kind of makes sense because you go to the grocery store, meat's a little expensive, like you kind of hit all of some of the pricier items. I did not know that like nuts, like walnuts, almonds, peanuts were all considered high value things. It makes sense because they are a little pricier at the store, but dang, I had no idea.
Yeah, and I think it's important to also understand that it's not just the value. If it's high, there could also be a high profit margin. So the opportunity to make money on those goods, maybe they're less expensive to grow, but then they sell for a higher price point.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. So when you guys were choosing, so you developed this solution. Why did you guys choose arguably one of the three hardest industries to start in? Because you didn't just say, like, yeah, we're going to start with like denim jeans. Like, we're not starting with something easy. You guys went full send, all in of pharma, healthcare, food, and beverage. Why was that like, yes, let's pick the three hardest things and start there?
Yeah, when I started at Overhaul, our purpose was to deliver the best solution in the market, and that's what we strive to do. And so that's not going to be the easiest solution to implement. But at the end of the day, Overhaul is creating a solution that allows our customers to divine their standards of care and respond to real time events that are directed to specific users based on their job roles and work streams. And this makes us an ideal candidate in the cold chain quality solution.
I love that because that's basically just you guys have always developed a reputation of being the ones not to back away from a challenge. And you guys really doubled down on that and said, hey, let's pick the three hardest things to provide a comprehensive solution for. And, let's see what happens. We're going to really double down on who we are as people. And I kind of like that. That's more or less been Overhaul's, entire motto is, well, it's not hard. It's not easy. So let's do it.
Absolutely.
So, what are some of we've talked about this solution, and for those who aren't up on it, would you mind giving us some background on kind of what this solution is? Because we've talked about it. Um, is it visibility monitoring? Is it, temperature monitoring? Is it something that you can integrate into your TMS? Do you mind just kind of giving us a quick little overview of it? Because I feel that I should have probably asked that in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So our solution at the end of the day is a supply chain risk monitoring solution um, that runs through the Overhaul software. We have various inputs for our software, and we often use the term device agnostic. But really, what it comes down to is flexibility and efficiency. So, because we're device agnostic, this allows us to be quick and effective when we implement solutions for our customers, and that can go across global supply chains. And having the ability to be quick and effective when we start a program with a customer or start integrating within their supply chain allows us to integrate with their enterprise systems, as you mentioned. So we optimize the deployment of our devices through the software. That really gives us efficiency and accuracy. And what I mean by that is we may increase temperature logging or turn off and on sensors for increased visibility, depending on the location in the supply chain or the level of risk that may be there. Also, in a compliance standard, if we see any variances in temperature or humidity, we have the opportunity in real time to be able to correct the behavior of those devices. And really, the enhanced visibility that we're talking about in real time, it really creates a true global tracking operation through our platform, as well as comprehensive shipment monitoring through our GSOCs around the world, and that really ultimately provides proactive risk management. So it's not just a platform or software solution. We have inputs from different types of integrations. Often those would be IoT, but sometimes other platforms. And then our ability to really consolidate that into a single view, monitor against it, but then deliver those records and the performance of the supply chain back to our customers in their enterprise system is really the end goal.
That sounds like, first of all, that sounds like a lot. That sounds like quite a solution, especially when you say that, there is that device agnostic, meaning that if I already have some kind of monitoring place, or maybe I have a bunch of trackers, I don't have to then turn around and get rid of all those to switch over to the risk management side of things that you guys have, because I don't have to have exclusive overhaul trackers. And I really do like that part, mostly because it's just nice, it's nice that I don't that like as a company you don't have to redo everything, because if you have a solution that works, you're just kind of looking to enhance it and make it better. You don't have to redo your trackers. You can, I'm sure you guys have plenty of tracker suggestions for people, but I do like that it kind of integrates with just about anything, because honestly, I feel like that's, that's half the battle, because if I have to get a new software and then on top of that potentially get a new then like redo everything and redo my entire system, it just seems like a lot of work, and almost at the at the front more of like a hassle.
Absolutely. And I think historically, uh, really shippers were managing their own devices, and that requires resources. So having the flexibility to define, if you want fulfillment and device logistics to come from Overhaul, that's an option. But if the customer wants to handle it, they can. We've got operations centers now all around the world. And so being able to supply inventory that's charged, ready to go, and configured to our customers' specific configuration for those lanes is really adds a lot of value and time reduction for their internal resources. And I think that's a huge differentiator for the solution that we offer. There's also some economies of scale because we're purchasing devices in very large quantities, and so there's some cost savings that can be achieved while working through our procurement team.
Yeah, I would say that you guys probably are buying significantly more than a shipper is on an average day. Have you guys found that, being able to kind of more seamlessly integrate into someone's existing system versus kind of having to redo everything, kind of that device agnostic approach? Have you seen that kind of been a what's the word I'm looking for? Not like a barrier, the opposite of a barrier, like kind of an easy entry into getting involved with the shipper. Have you guys seen it become more effective with the fact that, you can kind of pick anything that you want and customize what you want out of, your cold chain solution?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that it was probably a pretty even split of customers that actually spend time in our software and look and respond to events and see escalation paths and responses to their standards of care and their workflows. And then others, once they're set up, they just want the data delivered into a place they can consume it at one time, and maybe more of a logistics dashboard, which would be kind of like you log in and see, I've got 3 or 4 widgets, and they're going to tell me what shipments are delivering, what's past due, what's on time, see ETAs, and then potentially see any supply chain news, geopolitical events, things like that that may impact their shipments in the regions they're tracking.
I think that that kind of customization has to be incredibly key, because like you said, everybody's supply chain is different, and kind of knowing what risks I'm going to have ahead of time seems to be like, oh, if I know that, all right, well, I'm going to ship to this country or this part of the US. If I'm shipping to the southeast during hurricane season, I know that it's going to be a bad time. There's going to be some delays, and maybe I need to ship earlier or ship later. And that's some things that we've seen. I'm kind of curious of if there's kind of an overlap or kind of a similarity between some of these risk management solutions and kind of what we see in the telematics for like a truck. So it'll tell you like, hey, this reefer unit, like on the telematics side, it'll say this reefer unit's going to break down pretty soon, so probably don't send it on like a 600-mile voyage because it's going to break. Versus, is that something that's kind of applicable to the risk management side of things, of like, hey, you're going to ship to the Miami in the middle of hurricane season. This is probably a bad idea because there's supposed to be all of these weather events or other things, or you're trying to ship internationally in a spot that's arguably not the best at receiving things at the moment due to whatever geopolitical factors we have. Have you guys kind of, is that kind of like a decent analogy that's there for this solution?
I think so. Our focus on this conversation has definitely been compliance, but there is a security aspect of it, or risk management. And we also offer solutions for asset tracking. And so, in the event that we were integrated, and we are integrated with the major reefer companies, reefer trailer companies, um, seeing engine hours, potentially seeing misfires, engine diagnostics codes, as well as maintenance records can be included in our product. And then if an asset is being tracked, it kind of automatically goes into our other software solution when it's assigned to a shipment. So if you had a cold chain shipment that had a reefer that was not working correctly, that was on an active shipment, we would definitely be able to see those types of responses and then give appropriate reactions. We have traffic and weather within the platform in real time. We also have what we call overlays, and so if we did see, say, a reefer that was misbehaving, we can identify the closest cold chain storage facility and mechanic shop, put the dot on the map, and then instruct the driver or carrier what and get their feedback on what they'd like to do. So either go fix the reefer or potentially move the product into a place where it's not going to be spoiled.
That kind of forethought and planning like the planner in me absolutely loves that, of like there's like we have a solution for everything. We just we have plans A through Z ready to roll at your fingertips. Because I mean, from my cold chain like operations days, it was like that we didn't have that kind of solution. So I would literally be sitting there. I was moving kegs of beer. And fun fact, they cannot be outside of a temperature controlled environment for more than 6 hours before they start to, degrade and lose quality and go bad. So we would like literally, if it came to that time where we started to see them kind of be outside of that temperature window, we would just call and say like, hey, do you like, where are you, how close are you going to be? And when if we knew that they weren't going to make it, all we could do was just kind of let the warehouse know to pull that shipment to the side, and then claims had to take over and temperature everything and all that. But if I kind of had like if I had a software that was saying like, hey, this is going to be a problem, and if he's still 4 hours away and he's got 2 hours left on that keg, we can, but in those miles there's a stop that he can make to kind of get everything fixed, hold like time out for a little bit, and then carry on after things kind of get back to temperature. To me that seems like a fantastic solution that I would have liked back in the day, instead of just going, well, I hope he makes it.
Yeah, and that's a great point. Through our workflows, we can define not only temperature ranges but duration outside of those ranges, and those can be ignored if they're at delivery locations. But oftentimes, time is very important for a lot of the new drugs coming out, where it's got to be to back to a patient in a certain amount of time. So the consideration for a breach of temperature above or below, plus a time frame, but also consideration of the ETA getting that product to the delivery location is really key in some of these cold chain regulated products we're seeing currently.
Yeah, and I think that as we get more specialized medicine, there's going to be an even bigger demand on that, because that's also a lot for like a person to try and keep track of. If I know I have this important shipment and I have 72 hours to get it delivered, but it has to stay within a certain temperature, that's a lot for one person to monitor. So having a system that can come in and say, don't worry about it, we got it, we'll alert you so you can carry on about your day. We love to see it. Have you guys had any good success stories come out? Like any big wins that your customers have had as a result of kind of this integration?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a couple I can talk about, but I really think that every shipment we deliver on time without spoilage is really a success. Um, you know, we we definitely don't want things to get out of control where we have to try and correct action in real time, because that's much more difficult. So if we can define rules and keep the shipment in the standards that it should be in, that's really a great success for everyone involved when we're using our platform. Um, in addition to that, we've had a couple customers that have prevented spoilage, kind of estimated around the $1 million range, and that's just for spoilage and waste manufacturing nutrition products for babies, and being able to measure their performance and notifying them in real time of variances in their nutrition products has been really the key driver for that. And then we've also seen probably, I would say, around a 30% reduction in our temperature controlled shipping costs for some of our vaccine distributors. So being able to identify when things are dwelling longer than they should, or potentially in an area where the temperature is rising when it shouldn't, and then ultimately streamlining the logistics and making the transit time less, can drive down cost, as well as consolidating shippers and putting more product into certain packaging to go to different areas just more efficiently and more effectively.
First of all, $1 million of reduction of waste, that is literally insane. I don't even know how to fathom to begin to comprehend that other than just like holy cow. Talk about a return on your investment. $1 million of waste just poof gone. Like well not wait, not gone, but like sellable.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult when you can't define where the loss is occurring. So when you implement a solution like ours and it can tell you when and where and how long, it makes correcting those actions much easier.
So, Nick, there's a question that everybody comes on the show. It could be the hardest question that you're going to get asked all day today. But, we like to keep things fun around here. So, Nick, is cereal considered a soup?
You know, I may not be the best person to answer this because I don't eat breakfast, and I suppose you could eat cereal all the time. But I think I'm going to have to go with no. I don't think cereal is a soup because I think you need the broth to be hot to be considered a soup. I don't know many cold soups.
There are some, but the broth is a key component, It is the key component. And some say that the milk is broth, but like it's not. It's not. Cereal is cereal and soup is soup. I'm very glad that you're on the correct side of this answer.
Me too.
So, if anyone has any hot takes on your cereal opinion, or if they kind of want more information about your cold chain solution, where can they find you outside the show?
Yeah, I mean, you can contact us through our website, and there's forms there to get you in touch with the right people to give you details. Our website's been recently updated, and there's tons of great information on there as well. And then, of course, our phone number is also available to if you need to talk to somebody.
Would you say that the Overhaul website has been overhauled?
My favorite part is our chatbot, Larry. If you get a chance to check him out.
All right, so go check out Larry. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Nick.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You can catch other episodes of Running on Ice right here on FreightWaves TV, YouTube, or anywhere else you get your podcasts like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Need more Running on Ice news? No sweat. Subscribe to the newsletter on freightwaves.com/runningonIce. See you on the internet.